Good morning to all our drone technology fanatics for joining us for our DroneTech Innovation Case Day. As the saying goes, all good things must come to an end. Today is the last event of our DroneTech Innovation Showcase. The DroneTech Innovation Showcase is a series of events brought to you by the Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus, an initiative of the Saldanha Bay Industrial Development Zone. This event included the DroneTech Talks, a series of discussions held in August, of which I had the pleasure of participating and speaking in that event. An entrepreneur bootcamp, which was held at the beginning of September and focused on founders' journey, with the focus being how to navigate the startup environment in South Africa, skills, tools for entrepreneurs, and design thinking principles. Lastly, our Building Code Fly event, which provided training to 12 teachers in Saldanha Bay on building and flying a drone. And all the recordings to all these 3 sessions are currently available on YouTube. If you visit YouTube, you'll be able to access these recordings. There was also a DroneTech Innovation Challenge, which ran from mid-August to the end of September, and we'll be hearing more from the 6 winners later during the day today. With that being said, I would like to thank everyone who has been part of this journey so far. Please follow the Saldanha Bay Industrial Development Zone on LinkedIn for more information. Today's event will focus on the future of drone technology and ports. We're going to kick off the conversations with our keynote address, which will be on the future of drones, as this entire showcase focuses on the current happenings in the drone technology industry. This will be delivered by our guest, Tim Lewering, from the Netherlands Aerospace Center. Keeping to the futuristic theme, our panel discussion will focus on smart ports, a hot topic within the port community. And here we have speakers from Transnet National Ports Authority, the Maritime Port Authority of Singapore, and Soteria Advanced Technologies as our panelists. Before we start, I would like to run through the order of the day and a few housekeeping rules. Today's event has been split into 3 sessions. Session 1, which is about to start now. This is where we're going to have our keynote address on the future of drone technology by our guest, Tim Lewering, and a short break after that for about 5 minutes or so. And we'll play a drone demonstration video during that break showing South African companies, as well as a bit about the Innovation Campus. We will then begin our panel discussions on smart ports. We'll have another short break and get back at around 11:15 or so for our award ceremony from the DroneTech Innovation Challenge, and the weight from 6 winners as well. You don't want to miss this inspiring segment where we're going to hear more from these companies. I must say I saw some of their pitches, quite interesting. I would really recommend that you stick around and see what these companies have to offer. And then we will end this event with a small note and vote of thanks from SBIDZ at about 11:50. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to hand over to Tim for the keynote address on the future of drone technology. Tim, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, and thank you very much, Sam, for the kind introduction. You see my presentation now, if all goes well. Is that correct? Yeah, perfect.
Yes, I can see that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Well, it is well. Thank you all for inviting me to be able to present here at the Saldanha Bay online event. My name is Tim. I work at the Royal Netherlands Aerospace Center as Business Development Manager, and I'm also part of the drone team here at the NLR. In the next 20 minutes or so, I would like to run you through my presentation about the work being done at NLR and in Europe in the field of drones and urban air mobility. Some future applications of drone technology that we see, including urban air mobility, and then end with a couple of words on the outside world and the leaders in drone technology globally. Now, skip. Yeah, here we go. So I will start with this is the outline of my briefing. Start with the introduction of the NLR, then talk about some drone technology developments that has recently enabled us to do what we are doing right now, and also explain why there's some tremendous development opportunities at the moment. Then talk about UAM in Europe, urban air mobility, lots of going on in that field as well. And then end with future applications and the innovation model in the Netherlands. Now, the NLR in brief. We have been around for more than 100 years. We were founded in 1919. And in the same year, it was a good year for aerospace in the Netherlands, because in the same year, the Fokker company was founded in the Netherlands. There was KLM, there was Schiphol, the airfield in Amsterdam, and the Royal NLR. And so in 1 year, we had both on the government side, research side, and from the industry side, it all came together and enabled us to start flying. I will get back to this approach because this has worked for us in the last 100 years. Now, we're based in Amsterdam. I'm currently in Marknesse. I will show you a picture of Marknesse because here is also our drone center where we can fly drones in restricted airspace. And I will explain about that some more later on. Now, we work for both industry and government. We are a foundation, a not-for-profit foundation. So we're not part of the government, but we do a lot of work for the government, but also for industry. I've got slightly more than 600 colleagues and slightly more than 80 million euros turnover. Now, we're organized in 3 divisions, being the aerospace systems, the operations, and airspace vehicles. Most of the drone activities take place in the aerospace vehicles, but if you look at systems and avionics and onboard systems for the drones, we also find them in aerospace systems. And the aerospace operations is dealing more with things like airspace, the way you organize airspace or air traffic management for drones. Now, we're an applied research organization, which means that we are positioned between universities on the one hand and industrial partners on the other hand. So this means that we start with some results from basic research and then try to develop this up to a point where it can be applied in industry or at the government level, which also means that, that we're actually not producing, for instance, drones ourselves. We are sometimes developing prototypes, but the production of things and eventually the operation on a commercial basis, that's part of industry. So that's where it ends for us. So we're the linking pin between universities, government, and industry in aerospace as we see it. This is a role which is quite comparable to other organizations like TNO in the Netherlands that you might have heard of, or Fraunhofer in Germany. Now, this is our drone center. I'm here at the moment in a place called Marknesse in the northeast of the Netherlands. So what you see here is a small runway. It's big enough for drones. It's 300 meters long, 50 meters wide. We've got a permit to fly also with manned helicopters if they're not too big during daytime. We can fly manned airplanes if they're very light. We operate, by the way, an electric airplane at the moment here in the Netherlands, which is also part of our research into electrification of aerospace. Unmanned up to 750 kilograms, daytimes up to 11 o'clock in the evening. And what you see in the background, those are our offices for our facilities of the NLR, where we can also do testing, electromagnetic testing, but also strength testing, etc., etc. So we can manufacture stuff mechanically, electrically. We can do electromechanical compatibility research, acoustic research, and measurements. And our airspace here is a restricted area, so we can fly also with experimental drones here up to 1,500 foot. And we can have an activation possible up to 3,500 foot. So that gives us enough space to work on our drones. And here you see a small picture of what it looks like in 3 dimensions. Now, drone technology development. I would like to talk about 3 areas of technology development for drones, which in my view are important for the current state of the state of the art in drone technology, and what will also bring us further in the next couple of years. There are some other topics and areas as well, but for now, I would like to focus on these areas, being miniaturization, power and propulsion, air traffic management and autonomy, and that all within the regulatory framework and certification. I'm mentioning regulatory framework and certification because these are very important topics in my view in order to enable for us to actually work with drones. What we've seen up to now is that there's a lot of development going on in developing platforms, and we've been, as an industry, very successful in creating drones, and they're everywhere. But the next step is how to fly them safely in an environment between people, building, and other air traffic. And that's the regulatory framework and certification. Now, in Europe, we're using or working on a system called U-Space, and I will dedicate a couple of slides on this system that will enable us to do so and to fly safely. Another thing about certification is that the drone industry, drone manufacturers, I think you can divide them roughly in 2 different groups, being a group of companies starting with, for instance, drones as a toy and then evolving. And on the other hand, the traditional aerospace industry, which is entering the unmanned aerial vehicle sector. And so especially, I think, if you're not traditionally from the aerospace sector, the certification, that's a new area for you. You have to deal with that as a drone builder and developer. Now, miniaturization. Well, I think the current drones that we see all over the place have been made possible due to the fact that a lot of systems on board which are needed for stabilization, like inertial navigation systems or GPS for your positioning, have become smaller and smaller over the years. And what you see here is that a picture on the upper right-hand side of an inertial navigation system from the 70s at the NLR. We were doing research then into a space application for this inertial navigation system. And as you can see, it almost fills up the room, a bit exaggerating here, but nevertheless, it's big. And to the lower right-hand side, we see a gyroscope unit nowadays connected to a small printed circuit board. And as you can see, it fits in your wallet. It's very small, and it's also possible to have this in a drone. Now, this also enables us to do automation and stabilization, these sensors, on a drone, and having multi-rotor drones which fly autonomously up to a certain extent using autopilot. And that's why we are able to fly a multicopter these days. Now, another thing are the high density batteries and the associated cost reduction. Now, coming back to another example of miniaturization in drones. I already mentioned that it should be safe to fly a drone within an urban air mobility environment, for instance. And one of the things that you will be needing in future is a detect and avoid system. Now, this means that it's a system which senses your environment and makes sure that you're not running into other drones or buildings or other air traffic. Now, this is an example of research at NLR where we are miniaturizing a electronic suite to be used on board of a drone and to enable also smaller drones to do detect and avoid. Now, another example of miniaturization, that's the progress that's being made in batteries. We see a lot of lithium-ion batteries at the moment in drones, and that's not a surprise because, and that's to the lower, well, the left-hand side of this picture, you see a graph of the cost development per kilowatt hour over years, and it's a logarithmic scale. So we see a downwards trend, but it's even, if you put a linear scale to it, it's even more drastic than that. So batteries have become cheaper and cheaper over the years, which is good. And to the right-hand side, we also see is that mass production is picking up, which is also a good thing in order to enable drones cheaply and with a longer endurance. Now, another thing is the fact that we have lithium-ion batteries. This picture shows the lower left-hand side, the original batteries in the lead acid, traditional batteries, which you will find in the car. Now, and moving to the right and moving upwards, you see smaller and a higher power density, more watt-hours per kilogram. And you see there's a lot of development going on towards lithium-ion batteries, which makes a huge difference. Now, having said that, we also think that a next step for drones in order to have a longer endurance will be to use hydrogen for the power propulsion. You see all over in aerospace that hydrogen is becoming more and more a focal point of research as a clean alternative to kerosene for larger platforms and as a alternative for batteries for longer endurance on drones, for instance. And that's not without a reason, because the advantages of hydrogen are there. It's renewable with a if. It's renewable if you produce hydrogen using a sustainable energy source. If you use hydrogen, it's a zero carbon emission fuel. So what you're producing is water vapor. So that's relatively clean, and the carbon footprint is low. And there's a high energy content by weight, not by volume, but by weight it is. I'm saying not by volume because one of the challenges is that in order to bring a substantial amount of hydrogen with you, you need a high pressure vessel or a cryogenic storage where it's liquid with very low temperature. And of course, with hydrogen, you need safety precautions. Now we're used to safety precautions in aerospace, but hydrogen is kind of new to us. What you're seeing here is a experimental drone at NLR with a hydrogen fuel cell producing electricity for the electro engines, electro motors. And on top of it, you will see a hydrogen tank, which looks like a gas bottle that you are using diving, for instance. But this is adjusted in order to be able to be used on hydrogen because you need specific certification for that. Now, and this is part of a longer lasting research technology project here at NLR, and we are moving towards longer endurance and larger platforms. To the upper right hand side, you see the Hydra 3, as we call it, and it's our aim to fly for about 3 to 4 hours on a hydrogen energy source. Now, urban air mobility in Europe, I promised you that. This is more about the legislation point of view. And this needs some explaining. We think that for urban air mobility, so flying within an urban setting, there are a couple of main hurdles to be overtaken and to be solved, being the public acceptance, the regulatory framework, certification of the autonomy and automation, and also the business case, of course. You could spend days talking about this, but what I would like to do now for this brief introduction, I would like to focus on the regulatory framework. We're also working on public acceptance. For instance, what you see here is a virtual noise simulator, simulating the noise in order to be able to show people what it will look like if some platform is flying in a city. And also we're working on the detect and avoid, and not so much on the business case, I must say, but I will focus now on the regulatory framework. And I think the most important part of that's the use space development in the European Union. It has been in development since 2017, and it's the framework for next step in unmanned aviation, taking care of air traffic management for drones. Well, we know air traffic management, of course, for manned flight, traditional flight, but now we need, because there will be, we think, lots of drones flying around, we need a more automated system in order to take care of that and to be sure that we have a safe operation. What we are seeing right now is that we are flying drones within a visual line of sight, VLOS, and we would like to go to a beyond visual line of sight, so further away. And in the end, an automated air traffic control for drones and another manned aerospace traffic around it. Now, the building blocks are network identification, so how to identify drones and tag them with a unique tracking number. Then the geo-awareness, so for people to know where to fly and where not. For instance, not in the vicinity of airports or not in the vicinity of other areas where you don't want to have drones flying around. For instance, if there's an emergency with an emergency rescue helicopter, then you would like to keep drones out. The traffic information, that's how to deconflict drones flying in a common airspace. And flight authorization, that's in fact giving the approval for drone operators to fly. Well, these are the building blocks. They will be implemented in 4 phases, which are called phases U1 up to U4, U1, U2, U3, and U4. And the phase U1 will consist of initial and basic services. So that's the registration, for instance, and the electronic identification. Now, phase U2 will be the initial use-based services for flight management. We're approximately in U2 at the moment in the phases. U3 will be the support services for more complex situations within use-space. That's automation and resolution of conflicts. And U4 will be the implemented of use-based services. So that will be kind of the full implementing of the system. Now, having said that, it's all within a risk-based, not so much a rule-based system. So that means that your permit to fly eventually will be judged upon a risk assessment made of the flight. So it will be easier to fly with a smaller drone than with a very big drone. And that's also reflected in the 3 categories of drones, which are identified, being the open or smaller category of drones, the specific, more complex drones, and then the certified drones, which will be very large, I think. Good. I will speed up a bit looking at the time. So the urban air mobility in Dutch society, we are part of the Dutch Drone Delta as NLR, and we've identified 5 tracks, and you will see they coincide slightly with the general use space agenda in order to show that there's social engagement, that we can do autonomous long distance flights, safe integration, deliver things by drones, and implementing urban air mobility. Now, this is a very good example of a European project called GOV2 for integrated urban airspace validation. And this is an example of a flight in September of this year by a platform by EHang in Estonia beyond visual line of sight. And it's a significantly large platform. Now, for the future application of drone technology, I think there's an immense possibility and potential for drone technology. We see, I think, on one hand, the consumer drones, which are, if you look at market studies at the moment, still the largest, the main part of the market and market size. On the other hand, there's the professional market, and I see applications there in what we call the 3D areas, the dull, dirty, or dangerous areas. I think those are applications to look at. If you look at market studies, people foresee the biggest growth in the market for drones in consumer, business, and construction, and in inspection. The building and construction, you can think of inspection of buildings during the construction thereof or afterwards for maintenance. But also in the energy sector, of course, with the inspection of power lines, for instance. Now we see examples of drones being applied in border security and wildlife inspection. That's connected to law enforcement. Here in the Netherlands, we see border protection and also, for instance, the rescue of people who are in a dangerous situation in shipping. If there's an emergency, then we can have UAVs assisting the Coast Guard. Now, agriculture, of course, with monitoring of crops, urban air mobility, and the payload carrying. That's, for instance, I think in the perspective of Saldanha Bay, we are also experimenting with bringing spare parts with drones to ships, for instance, offline, but also medicine delivery. That's one use case here in the Netherlands. Now, this is an example This is a project in which we are participating for the inspection of an offshore wind turbine blade with a drone. So a drone flies up to the offshore wind turbine and has a look at the blades and if they're still structurally intact or not. And this saves a mechanic for going there, which is potentially dangerous. Now, innovation in the Netherlands. What works for us, I mentioned the fact that 100 years ago, we started with government, industry, and research organization together. And in fact, this model, we've named it the triple helix or the golden triangle for innovation here in the Netherlands, where we see that local government being either the Ministry of Economic Affairs, but also the local development companies works together with industry and research organizations like our universities and us. And this gives an enormous potential for innovation. And so this, for me, it would also be a question to you whether or not this would be a model that would fit your Saldanha Bay. Maybe a nice one for discussion. Now, I would like to finalize this briefing. Sam, I see I take a little bit more time than I promised, so sorry for that, but I would like to finish my briefing with some words about global leaders. It is very difficult, I think, to answer this question. You asked me the question: who are and will be the global leaders? Because the drone sector and industry is very diverse, ranging from very small drones up to very large drones, which can stay in the air for days. Looking at market forecasts, I see that, for instance, the consumer drone market at the moment is dominated by companies from China, being DJI, known for the Mavic series, for instance, and Unique International, if I pronounce it well. In Europe, in France, there's Parrot also active there, and those three make up the largest three companies in this field. But we see that, for instance, in the defense and security area, there are companies like General Atomics with their MQ-9 drone, of course, AeroVironment with the Puma, Raven, and Wasp, which are smaller systems, and In Situ with the Scan Eagle, which is in use for fishery and also in the naval applications. Here in Europe, we have Skeldar, which is a rotary wing platform, which is operating. And in the field of urban air mobility, I think that initiatives which are worth mentioning are PAL-V in the Netherlands, Embraer Air with the Embraer X, of course, Airbus, we saw EHang, and in Europe and Germany, we've got Volocopter and Lilium, which are very active in the field of urban air mobility. I would like to end my presentation here, Sam. So thank you very much for your attention.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you for the insight, and thank you for sharing your experience and the work that you do at an organization. I'm going to invite participants to also ask questions, participate by asking questions. And you can put your questions in the Q&A box, or alternatively, you can just raise your hand, and our administrators here will assist by unmuting you, and so that you can ask your question. With that being said, Tim, I understand that the time might have been, we don't have enough time to go through everything, but thank you for sharing the information and the knowledge that you have. And then in the meantime, while we're waiting maybe for questions, I have one question for you to ask. You, in your presentation, you said something with regards to a golden triangle, right? What you call golden triangle in Netherlands. Now, please tell me, how important is this collaboration between stakeholders as far as making sure that the innovation, drone technology innovation, and especially also when you look at legislation or legislative requirements, like, how the collaboration between all the stakeholders, how important is that, to make sure that this technology thrives and this industry grows?
Yes, it's for us, it's crucial. There are a couple of things. There's the you can look at it from the viewpoint of competitiveness. And in the Netherlands, we as an industry are doing well. I think we've got a high standard of living. But having said that, we're not the cheapest country to produce, for instance. So in order to ensure that we remain competitive, it's very important for us that we produce and develop things in a smart way. So innovation is very, very important, not only for us as NLR, because it's our core business, but also for our industry to stay on top of the business. For in the area of drones and urban air mobility, it's maybe even more important because legislation plays such an important role, I think, in successful implementation of drones in society. And legislation is made by government. And in our case, it's not even a national government, but it's a European government, European Commission. So we need to work together closely with our Ministry of Economic Affairs, for instance, or our Ministry of Culture and Science, in order to give the right input, in order to ensure that these set of rules are workable for us in Netherlands. Netherlands is a relatively small country, but lots of people live here. It's crowded. We've got a couple of significant pieces of infrastructure, like the Rotterdam Harbor or Schiphol Air, the airport of Schiphol. And so you need to think closely about the also aspects like safety of operating nearby, for instance, an airport. So I think it's of paramount importance. Sam, is this a model that you see working already, or maybe will be working for Saldanha Bay in future? Industry work together with local governments and research organizations or universities.
Look, definitely, Tim. In my opinion, I don't think there's any other way for one particular entity, even if it's government, to achieve this by themselves. Simply because you find that the expertise might be lying, within different entities, right? The different stakeholders. So with that being said, at the same time, I have another question, and probably before I ask another question, let me again encourage our participants to also, ask questions, and I'll put those questions to you as well. I see there's one question, but before we get to that, let me ask one more question. The other interesting fact that you highlighted is the public acceptance, of drone technology. What are the challenges there that you see? Because my understanding with public acceptance, sometimes it differs, from region to region. If you go to, the US and the Canada, you see a lot of challenges where, for example, things that you read about in the internet, that someone took a shotgun and shot a drone because they're flying above their house and whatnot. So the issue of public acceptance differs from one region to the next, right? So in Netherlands, what kind of challenges that you have experienced, and then what would be the best way to address such?
Yes. Well, I think one of the worries, of course, with the general public are things like privacy. I think this is not a unique Dutch situation, but a global situation, because some drones are fitted with cameras, and you will see on YouTube magnificent pictures of sunrise, sundown, etc. But of course, you don't want a drone to look into your garden or at your house if it's not permitted to do so. It will violate your privacy, and we should respect that. So I think that's for instance a concern. Another concern would be, I would say, if there would be a lot of drones flying around, what would that mean for the noise levels in a city, and is it safe, yes or no? Having said that, I think there's, on the other hand, there's also people do realize is that there's a large benefit for drones in certain applications, such as, for instance, the delivery of medicine or delivery of, for instance, blood samples to hospitals. So what we are also looking at and trying to promote are applications of drones with a broader benefit for society. And this can also be, to name another example, this is a difficult word for me in English. You've got a defibrillator. It's a device to assist you when you're suffering from a heart attack, for instance. Well, we've also been working together with a Dutch company organization that are experimenting with a drone to bring such a device to an emergency response. Now, I think, in short, that those examples of an application with added value will help for the general public to accept drones in our daily lives. I hope this answers your question.
No, it does. It does. Thank you very much. I see the questions are coming thick and fast. In case we're not able to get through to all questions, probably some of these questions will send them to you, Tim, by email, if you don't mind, and probably if you could respond, and then I think that might work. I have another question here. In your slides, you had something along the lines of a Hydra drone. The question is, what is that all about?
Yes, what's it all about? So what I mentioned is that drones at the moment, if you operate a drone with electric engine, electric motor, then there will be a battery in it. Now, we see a tendency that's necessary for drones to fly longer and further away. And one of the limiting factors is the amount of energy you can store on board and bring with you. Now, we see a potential for hydrogen to be used together with a fuel cell. And that means that you put hydrogen in the fuel cell together with oxygen. It recombines into water vapor and produces electricity. And there's a potential of bringing not only more potential electricity with you on the drone, but also in a clean way. And so for us, it's an alternative to batteries. And the demonstration will not be only applicable to drones, but we see a wider area of applicability of this technology, because it's for the Dutch government, it's our ambition to develop clean aviation, so to decrease our carbon footprint. So we are also looking for large passenger aircraft. We're looking for alternatives to kerosene. Now, our hydrogen for drones experiment is also used as a stepping stone towards application of hydrogen as a fuel source in large passenger aircraft. We're not talking about next year. This will be years and years in the future. But so it's twofold. It's on the one hand enabling drones to fly longer and further, but it's also part of a bigger, let's say, initiative to make aviation more greener. Right. By the way, I can send more information to the person asking this question if needed.
No, I really appreciate that, because I see we're running out of time. If it's okay, I'll try to squeeze in just one more question, sure. And probably if you can respond to that in 1 minute, yes. Probably that you can provide more information at a later stage on an email. So this is a very interesting question from John. John is asking if the industry, his question is running away from me, if the industry has, has developed, the failure mode effect analysis, for each drone and different classes. If you could just briefly, probably in a minute or less, respond to that, and then you can expand on that maybe on email.
Yes. Yes, I think that's it's impossible to answer this because there are thousands of drones around. But John, it's definitely the case that you will need to do so in order to have a certified drone in the end. So you have to think about indeed making such a FMECA analysis as part of your substantiation. Yeah, that's the short answer.
All right, fantastic. No, thank you very much again, Tim, for your time. Gracing us with your presence and sharing your knowledge and experience with us. With that being said, now I'll thank you again, and so we're going to take a break now until I would say 9:45, and we'll come back at 9:45. Between now and 9:45, we will then we're going to play a video just in the background to while we're on break. So thank you everyone, and thanks again, team. We'll see each and everyone at 9:45 again. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kashifa Bukis, CEO of the Saldanha Bay Industrial Development Zone, and I'm here to talk to you about one of our new exciting programs. The world is changing, global markets are shifting, and with the onslaught of the pandemic, new ideas and new ways of doing traditional engineering and services must be found. Through the Innovation Campus, space is being created to bring these new ideas to market and respond to these shifting local and global market trends affecting business and society.
The Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus is located within the Saldanha Bay IDZ, which is roughly 100 kilometers north of Cape Town. The Saldanha Bay IDZ is an energy and maritime special economic zone, first of its kind to be located within a port in South Africa. Our mandate at the Saldanha Bay IDZ is to stimulate the local economy through investor-responsive service offering to the energy and maritime sectors. Our investors, who are tenants in the Saldanha Bay IDZ, are involved in manufacturing and repairs, logistics and warehousing, and value-added services. Some of these investors would come up with novel and pioneering projects which will bring solutions to the market. These could be tried and tested with our partners and our specialists located within the Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus.
As an industrial cluster, the Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus will focus on bringing people together to solve some of the most challenging problems in the energy and maritime sector. Beyond just the tenants of the Saldanha Bay IDZ, the cluster will convene other industry players, academia, the public sector, communities, to share knowledge, to create new knowledge, to generate new entrepreneurial activities, build capacity, and to generally support and drive a sustainable innovation process in the region. The Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus will support innovation, research and development through a program of incubation and acceleration for entrepreneurs, helping to build and drive the next generation of entrepreneurs and to create new technologies that will sustainably grow and catalyze the energy and maritime sectors of the future.
In fulfilling our mandate as the Saldanha Bay IDZ, we will not only build, but also advance the local energy and maritime research and development capabilities, and assist with the systematic integration of the people of Saldanha Bay in the global innovation ecosystem. The Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus, through its deliberate integration of like minds and broad skill sets, will create a vibrant meeting place for those willing to share knowledge and specialized skills, and those willing to collaborate in driving pioneering solutions. In doing so, the Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus advances our existing development programs within the Saldanha Bay IDZ by supporting the development of local entrepreneurs and contractors, and subsequently the growth of the local economy.
The Innovation Campus will be a place where the problems of modern-day shipping, manufacturing and engineering will be solved through the technological invention and collaboration between the many institutes, entrepreneurs and students located there. It will forge Saldanha Bay on its path of becoming an internationally reputed and respected center of technological and engineering excellence. It will resonate with many to the art of the impossible to a new economy. We remain committed to ushering in this new human and economic possibility in Saldanha Bay. Our vision is that it becomes the home of the best energy and maritime research and development in Africa. We welcome partners to join us in creating this audacious vision. Thank you.
Since 2018, Africa Drone Kings have been supplying drones as well as maintenance services across various industries.
At the moment, we actually service clients from Nigeria, Togo, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Swaziland.
So what we have here today is a Phantom 4 Pro. So this unit came in with an IMU problem. our first attempt here is to see if we can actually have the unit function the way it's supposed to by changing one or two things. And then from there, yeah, we'll see if all goes well and the client will have his drone back in the air once again and performing shots as usual.
The drone solutions that we've developed here are designed to empower businesses. By improving efficiency and safety for tasks in the field, we are opening up new data streams for industries to act on real-time information. The core of a drone solution is an aerial robotic tool that allows people to complete more work in less time. Built on the functionality of our platforms, DJI has developed compatible payloads, including cameras, sensors, and even emergency supply drop boxes. Our payloads give enterprises new and improved ways of seeing and interacting with their operations, revealing methods to better manage projects and to complete them on time.
The ultimate goal is to make businesses smarter within the media, infrastructure, energy, and public safety industries.
Welcome back, everyone, to our second session, which is a panel discussion. Before we start, I would like to introduce our panelists. Please switch on your cameras, our panelists, as I introduce you. First up, we have Phumla Ndandwe from Transport National Ports Authority. And next, thank you, Phumla. And next up, we have Desmond Tay from Maritime Port Authority of Singapore. Thank you, Desmond, for joining us. And lastly, we have Tom Rose from Soteria Advanced Technologies. Great, fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, gent and lady. Perhaps let me start with an opening question. This would be to all of you, if you could respond with probably a paragraph or less. With the demand for efficient ports, there's a growing need to become smarter, right? And I understand that smart ports hold the promise of increased efficiency and productivity. Starting from with the basics, how do you define a smart port? I will start with Ms. Phumla. So I'm not sure if Phumla is here. Oh, okay, thank you.
I'm online. Thank you for the question. For me, a smart port is all about the use of the smart technology, as we've said, to increase the port efficiency, improve performance, and for ensuring that the economic competitiveness of the country as a whole. So this brings into, like, I'll make an example with us to say that we have, it's an innovation concept that we have embraced since there's quite a number of advancements in terms of technology. So it's an innovation concept that we embrace to bring in new technologies that maybe are out there in the market, the fourth industrial is bringing to our spaces. Smart port is all about digital. It's about automated processes. It's about automating your entire operations. It's about more connected logistics. We can operate in silos more especially we are in a logistics supply chain. So we need to ensure that we are connected with all our role players. Yeah. In terms of the latest technology that we might look at, like for in a smart port concept, there's quite a number of them that this concept is bringing, like artificial intelligence, your blockchain technologies, and et cetera, et cetera. Thank you.
All right. No, thank you, Ms. Phumla. I'm pretty much sure later during the panel discussion, we'll dive more into this and let's share a little bit more information with regards to that. So, Desmond, what's your take on the question?
Yeah, I think how do we define smart port? I think smart port is definitely about technology, but technically, we'd like to take a step back about what smart port is how do we create benefits for stakeholders in relation to port activity on that front. So we look at stakeholders, it could be the community, it could be the shipping industry, it could be the logistic players, it could be the ship supplies. So it is about how does a port, a smart port, create value for these players. And you could only create value through the leverage of technology. Throughout the ages, when there is always a transformation, I think shipping is transformed by the use of steam engines, and now we are on the next lap of transformation with the use of technology. Therefore, in my opinion, the definition of a smart port is how can we create value not only to the stakeholders, but create value to the environment, on the broader environment, and how do you, and by leveraging on technologies that is made available, for example, like what Pumla has mentioned, through the use of blockchain, through the use of artificial intelligence, through the use of robotics automation, through data sharing, through areas where all parties can get to benefit from the use of this technology. I hope that answers the question.
Definitely, thanks for that. And you emphasize on this phrase, creating value for stakeholders and communities. That's something that I would like us to delve in a little bit later as well. Now, let me bring in Tom here. Tom, with that question in mind, my take also and my understanding is that connectivity would be critical, to this conversation, and we're talking about smart port. So if you could also share with us, what is a connected smart port, and how important is a connected smart port in enabling efficient operations? Tom, are you here? So Tom here, but I'm not sure if he disappeared. It seems like he dropped off, but that is fine. With that, while we're waiting for Tom to come back and join us again, Desmond, let me ask you a question further to that. What are the technological solutions that are currently being used in Singapore to enable smart port, and how are these technologies evolving, and where are we going in future?
Okay, I think from the Port Authority point of view, we take safety and security of the port as of paramount importance on that front. So therefore, in relation to port safety and security, we leverage technologies like what you mentioned today, the use of drones, in allowing us to extend the reach of our port inspectors when patrolling waters. And in a situation where there's incident, we potentially leverage drone as our first responder to determine the exact location of an incident. This will allow us and allow our team to respond to the situation immediately in hot waters. In creating efficiency for the community, as a port authority, we look into how we can share regulatory data with the community so that the community can make use of this data to process their operations efficiently on that front. For example, we leverage on vessel location through the Maritime Data Hub set up by MPA to share data about vessel location within the port waters. So this will allow service providers to ships within the port waters to understand, to know where the location of the ships they are serviced, and therefore be able to access to their customers quickly on that front. Like I mentioned, besides using drones, sharing data We also leverage on AI technology, on video analytics, understanding, potentially making sense, using sense making to understand activities within the port waters on that front. Of course, we do also work with the environment officers in tackling pollution. Therefore, we work closely to understand, leverage on technology to determine pollution in port waters and react quickly to such incidents so that it does not impact the citizens in Singapore on that. In terms of technology, how is this area of technology evolving and what does the future hold? I think on that aspect, everybody can recognize that artificial intelligence is moving ahead. It's moving ahead with strong developments in various countries. Therefore, on that front, we are also focusing on the use of data and the use of artificial intelligence to support our operations. Artificial intelligence is not the end all and be all, but it is to support the team in ensuring the port is safe and secure for all port users. Thank you.
Fantastic. No, thanks for sharing that your experience and what you are doing as a port authority in Singapore. Let me bring in Ms. Pumla here. Ms. Pumla, can you please just share with us, firstly, if you could briefly just indicate the role that Transnet National Ports Authority does? That will be fantastic. And then secondly, what kind of technologies that you are currently have or using to make sure that you achieve desired levels of port efficiency?
We as a port authority, forming part of Transnet, our key role, we are the port authority that is responsible for bringing in vessels to the country, and then ensuring also that the infrastructure in our ports is up to standards. So there's quite a big number of other activities, but the core one is on ensuring that our ports are safety and running the ports on a daily basis. Then in terms of the technologies that we have embraced as a port authority, we started by taking into account like our integration challenges that we're having with our stakeholders. So by that, we look at the shortcomings within the port environment. One of it was connectivity, mainly on the water side. The current network that we currently have, like GSM, wasn't providing us enough connectivity on the water side while our crafts or our personnel are busy on the water side with maybe offering services to our customers. So there was one of the key elements that we looked at as a gap in terms of closing the integration between our stakeholders and us. And also there was going to also allow that within the port vicinity, we should provide connectivity. People shouldn't be like only be able to transact or talk to us when they are in their offices. So a wireless broadband network was been deployed to all the ports. So it's just now that we are in the process of ensuring that how do we optimize and expand the connectivity through Wi-Fi within the port environment. It does give us connections on the water side, like when our crafts are bringing in vessels, pilots, they are able to utilize and talk to those people at the bayside with port control as well. And the other technology that we're looking at, it was to bring telematics or digital technology in terms of ensuring that we bring sensor technology to the port, mainly to start tracking the asset utilization, like whereabouts of the asset, craft on the water side, even on the land side, so that we can have visibility in terms of utilization of those assets. We also have the aquatic drone technology that we utilizing for, sorry. I don't know whether it's my,
While Ms. Pumla is sorting out the technological challenges, I mean, unfortunately, this is what we find ourselves with technology. Sometimes we have glitches such as this, but I'm hoping that Desmond, can you hear me clearly, Steve?
Yeah, sure.
All right, fantastic. Let me bring you back again here. Earlier, you mentioned something along the lines of a social value and an impact, right? So with that being said, what are the benefits of smart ports when it comes to local communities? Do local communities get to benefit from smart ports, and if so, how?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Singapore is a very small country within the Southeast Asia, and we do not have any natural resources, technically. And we started as a trading hub. And the reason that we survive is because of trade, of the maritime trade on that front. Therefore, to us, to Singapore, the port is the lifeblood of Singapore, where we bring in the required or necessary supplies, food, that is required by the community in Singapore on that front. So on that, the port plays an important role to the community. Of course, by bringing the livelihood to them, and in this end, the port, through the creation of jobs, provided the community with the ability to make a living. Again, that is a social impact that the port has created in that front. And as you mentioned, I mean, as the port transitions into a smart port, it looks into areas of technology where it can leverage on how it can leverage on technology to be more efficient. When we talk about efficiency, we do not talk about the services that's provided to the ships. We talk also about in terms of energy efficiency, how we can be more green. Therefore, we create some sort of environment sustainability for the community. Again, by reducing energy usage and becoming more smarter in ports, reduce air pollution on that front, because we generate electricity from natural gas on that end. Thus, it also reduces, it helps us to decarbonize on that effect. So as you asked rightly in the question, and I always like to bring this across, a smart port creates values for stakeholders. And we examine the development of our ports through how it creates value for the nation and value for the community and value for the businesses on that front. And we do it through the use of innovation and research and development with partners, rightly said. And as in Team's earlier presentation, with regards to drone delivery, the Netherlands side of things leverage on the partnership between industry, government, and Institute of Higher Learning, the universities. From the Singapore side, we do that closely as well. On top of that, we work very closely with our unions to ensure that the workers working in port are well taken care of as well.
Okay. Right, fantastic. Thanks for that. Mrs. Pumla, are you back? Managed to sort out the glitches and technological glitches?
Yes, I am back, Sam.
Fantastic, great stuff.
No problem. The other device.
Okay, other device. Yeah, you can continue with your response.
Yes, I was just giving feedback in terms of the technology that we're currently using in our ports. It's embracing the smart port concept.
Yes.
We also, as I've mentioned earlier, the drone technology, we have also embraced this as part of our smart port initiatives. And while the project was initiating and starting in 2017, it was drone technology was one of the technologies that we came to realize for the first time in a port environment. We had a storm, and some of the vessels lost some containers to the water, and then we had to use drone technology, the Apache drones, to go and search for those containers. So for us, we saw the very big need for it as part of our initiative for smart ports. So yes, drone technology is one of the technologies that we are utilizing for this initiative. And then the other aspect of it was just to ensure that we have sensor technology, as I've mentioned, to start utilizing also for infrastructure like a berth occupancy, to monitor the occupancy of the vessel within a berth. So it was one of it to see that vessels are not dwelling longer on the berth. So that was going to assist us in terms of ensuring that our turnaround times and KPIs are visible. The other aspect of it, I think I spoke about the ELTE network that we have already done. So there are various use cases that we didn't go a big bang approach. We just put the key ones that we felt for now, let's just put it. But in the process for now, we are revising our smart ports initiative overall. And see which other technologies we can bring on board in terms of smart port is concerned. Thank you.
All right. Oh, thank you for that, Sis Pumla. In your conversation earlier, you touched on connectivity, and I'm going to come back to you, but for a momentarily, I just want to go back to Desmond. As my understanding that Singapore is one of leading nations when it comes to smart port. And Desmond, please tell me, in terms of connectivity, Pumla mentioned some of the challenges that we have currently in South Africa, when it comes to connectivity and communication and all that. So in Singapore, maybe touching on some of the let me say achievements, or how you managed to solve some of those challenges. How have you been to date managed to navigate challenges as far as connectivity is concerned?
Yeah, I think the connectivity issue has always been like a thorn in the flesh, I think, for the maritime industry as a whole. I think in terms of communication, it has been on the land side and the port side of things. I think it has been well covered with good connectivity provided by the telecommunications company, whether is it through 4G or 5G on that aspect of things. So on the land-based side of things, I think that is still manageable. And when ships were to come alongside the berths, they are also well service provided by the Wi-Fi connections provided through port. So within the port, we do not face much of an issues in regards to communications or connectivity. Our issues will be where there is when the ships are out at the anchorages far away from land. So how do we provide connectivity to these ships? And in recent years, we have provided 4G connections to ships that call Singapore on that front. And now with the use of 5G, we are upgrading the network on that part. But with the use of 5G, we have another issue where 5G has a shorter range as compared to 4G. How do you put base stations, make base stations available further out at sea? I think this has always been an issue for ships when they are traveling away from land on that part of things. On that front, what I'm noticing in terms of tech development is is in the area of low orbit satellites. Some of these satellites could potentially be used for communication further out at sea when required on that front. So in terms of connectivity, as mentioned, we do not face much issue within port areas. It is at sea that we face such problems on that.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Desmond. I think Tom is back. Tom, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Tom. No, thank you very much. As a matter of fact, I think you came right at the right time. My conversation with Desmond here, we're talking about connectivity, and I think this is a conversation that will be able to assist very much so in this. Now, in your understanding of the challenges that operators of smart ports would experience, especially when it comes to connectivity, already since Pumla and Desmond, they spoke about the Wi-Fi, they spoke about the 4G and the 5G. So, as someone who has experience in connectivity, are there any other technological solutions which would really be able to assist here apart from what we know?
Yes, thank you, Sam. And thanks again for all the other speakers, their inputs and so on. Unfortunately, I lost a bit out due to the connectivity problems I'm having here. But what I would like to add to the problems that we see within sort of slight offshore requirements, combined SATCOM, combined requirements and so forth, we often combine connectivity with the latest Iridium Certus infrastructure, which is low orbit satellites, along with COFTM technology. COFTM technology is a longer range, thicker pipe type. Let's compare it to a Wi-Fi solution, but a lot more potent and a lot further range than we can get from a Wi-Fi infrastructure. So by providing additional connectivity by using a drone for connectivity requirements, for instance, guiding and assisting with navigation within ports, but a little bit offshore, where they don't have the luxury of connecting to a Wi-Fi or a 4 5G network as yet, we can fill the gap. And I think filling the gap also in times when we don't have connectivity, such as disasters, or when the public infrastructure falls down or sometimes overloaded, is what we provide with COFTM technology. So the new waveforms available and the thick pipes that we can achieve by streaming video data and audio real time with COFTM transmitters really assist in that regard. So as I mentioned, we prefer providing our security structures within ports with a private network that the security or port protection guys themselves only use. Sometimes intelligence agencies want their own pipes as well. And obviously those are private and secure. And that often assists a hell of a lot with those gaps that are then created by normal public infrastructure. So if you guys would like to know more, obviously I can run you through a bit more details and some designs that we've done before. But for instance, in an ISR environment, lately we're combining the two and basically have a little server on the helicopter or a drone that then selects whichever connectivity is available at that point in time.
Thanks for that, Tom. Really, that sounds like you're working on some interesting technologies there, to solve the real, challenges that the port operators are experiencing. Let me go back to Sis Pumla. Sis Pumla, in your conversation earlier, you made mention of drones, right? So is my understanding that with drones, you are referring to underwater drones, or you also have embraced the airborne drone technology as well?
Yes, as part of the initiative, the aerial drones, we are, excuse me, we are going to utilize as well. We do have use cases for them. It's just that the process is running slow because of the legislative requirements, the skill set that we need to build within the boot environment. So currently that is still, as I'm saying, that as part of the revised initiative, we are going to see also the extension to utilizing all those aerial drones for quite a number of activities within the port, like security. I think my other fellow panelists have mentioned that for security checkpoints within the port. I'll make an example, like with the Port of Durban, there's quite a lot of congestion in one road where they go into the container terminal. So we also saw the need when we are still piloting this in terms of ensuring if we have drones that are monitoring that route and then bringing feedback once maybe traffic is starting to pile up. So definitely the type of drones are going to be part of our scope as we move forward in embracing these technologies. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. No, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Pumla. Let me indicate to our panelists that we're going to open Q&A session in about 10 minutes or so. So please start preparing your questions. And as I've indicated earlier, there are two ways how you can do that. Pop your question here under chat. And then the other option would be if you raise your hand, and our administrators here will assist to unmute you, and then you can ask your question. Desmond, let me bring you back again here. In your experience, are there any other specific infrastructure requirements or resources that one needs to focus on or think deep about when it comes to smart port as well?
Okay, specific infrastructure or resource. Maybe let me rephrase this question a little. On that part, I think the infrastructure has always been built to for use within the ports. Instead of specific infrastructure requirements, I want to bring across, are there collaborative partners within the ecosystem, within the port and maritime ecosystem, that are willing to work together with you to develop the necessary technology or solutions that should be used within your environment? For one, I'm always a believer that technology is not agnostic. However, Singapore and Saldanha has two different operational characteristics and operational requirements. Therefore, solutions would have to be developed to fit those requirements. If you ask of me whether of a specific infrastructure requirements, I would say most probably there's a need to work with regulatory authorities to set aside a safe space to run trials and potentially upgrade the trials at each successful stage. Because when you're developing such technologies, you're not sure what are the potential outcomes, whether is there any hazard to human lives. Therefore, having the ability to set up a living lab. In Singapore's case, we have set up an MPA living lab to run trials of technologies that the port authority is interested. PSA, the port operator, and Jurong Port, another port operator in Singapore, has set up their own living lab to run trials that is critical to their own operations. Therefore, if you ask me, I think a safe environment to run your trials is important. As mentioned about resource, I think the most important resource will always be, besides your partners, your human capital on that front. We must develop the human capital to develop to look into those solutions. Of course, not forgetting our port workers, existing port workers. How do we upskill them so that when new technologies are developed, they are not left behind, but they will be able to be more than adequate to manage new services or new technologies that's deployed in the port on that front. So it is twofold, a safe environment. And on that front, in terms of resources, I will be more focused on human capital on that aspect of things.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much for that insight, Desmond. Let me just make one correction on my side. When it comes to questions, please put type your questions in the Q&A. I think I may have indicated that you can put your questions in a chat box. So one correction, please post your questions under Q&A. All right. Before we get to, I have one or two more last questions to ask on my side, and then we can open the Q&A from participants. So Tom, let me bring you back here again. Tim, during our opening statement or keynote, he mentioned something quite interesting, which I think maybe, I would like to hear a little bit more from you when it comes to collaboration and making sure that stakeholders work together, in achieving any technological benefits. Now, in this instance, what is your experience? It could be within a South African context or generally so, the importance of working together and collaboration between different stakeholders. What Tim was talking about the regulators and the regulator, and then he was also talking about the private sector and academia. So in your experience, how important is that collaboration when it comes to smart ports in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I totally agree that there is definitely a need for closer cooperation between different entities, both from the authorities as well as private and government sectors. When designing a connected port or connected infrastructure or industry, there's huge overlap between the different entities in terms of infrastructure. And I think we can save a lot of money in sharing infrastructure. Nowadays, it's a lot easier on an IP type infrastructure for sure. But managing that with authorities and then from, as Desmond also said, looking at the safety aspects of such technologies, where I think wearable technologies are bringing all these closer together. It's easier to monitor, track, and create a safe environment by use of artificial intelligence and the other tools around. So yes, it is not there yet in terms of the South African context, I must say. I think a little bit closer in some of the other entities that I've worked with. But I think we're getting there, Sam. I think you guys are doing a sterling job. I think CAA, from an airborne perspective, is doing a great job. I haven't personally engaged good enough yet with Ports Authority. We've tried once or twice, but maybe, it's a good forum that you can create for us in terms of the South African context, in bringing all these role players together and saying, listen, guys, what do we want to achieve and how are we going to do that to make our ports most efficient and to the benefit of all the stakeholders?
Thanks, Tom. I think that's quite important, and for me, being able to have a close relationship between different stakeholders, it's very critical and very important. And as a matter of fact, I would like Pumla at a later stage maybe to revisit this question again. I'll bring it up again And I'd really like to get her thoughts and her views on collaborations and working together, as different stakeholders, especially within South African context. Right.
Thanks,
So,
Sam. Maybe if I can just add, one stakeholder that I have not mentioned is our frequency spectrum control guys, the ICASA guys. I think if we can create a set frequency to use specific technologies for us from a safety perspective, from using drones or unmanned surface vessels and things like that. And then also on the safety aspect, as far as the smart worker is concerned, that would really help a lot. I think it's difficult often for us as connectivity and solutions architects to say, we want to use this frequency, we suggest this and this and that, and then often you get blocked by the usage or not allowed to use certain frequencies for specific applications. So I think anybody that is involved in connectivity today, the 2.4 gig, 5.8 gig environment is getting extremely congested. Everybody is experiencing huge interferences. Sure, there are interference cancellation schemes and everybody that comes up with applications to try and mitigate that. But the frequencies that we need for clear, safe operations, I think, is something that really needs some attention.
Thank you for Tom. No, I understand exactly what you mean, because that's one of the challenges that myself I came across when it comes to the availability of a spectrum and dedicated spectrum, and most importantly, protected spectrum. Very good point there. To our participants, I'm not seeing questions coming through. I'm not sure if it's because our panelists are just clear and you don't have any questions following that. So please pop in your questions, and if there are any other questions that you want to ask personally, please raise your hand, and our administrators will make me aware, and then we'll give you opportunity to ask a question. And I have one last question for everyone before we open questions to all our participants. And I would start here with Sis Phumla again. Sis Phumla, how can ports and supply chain stakeholders, exchange information, and how do we create an environment also for innovation to thrive, and also to create that collaboration within port networks? So basically, it's almost similar question to what I asked Tom now. How do we achieve that collaborative? Make sure that we thrive in a collaborative manner.
Thank you, Sam. I think collaboration is key in terms of embracing, or in terms of ensuring that we are really efficient enough in our port systems. To ensure that there's data sharing, because data sharing for me is the heart of the business processes. So we need to have that visibility and ensure that it is shared with all the stakeholders within the supply chain. The various, the first thing that I will start with, it's the culture that needs to change. If we can embrace change and embrace these technologies that are coming, we are not going to be able to achieve what we want to see. We will just hear it as we talk, and it's end there. But the first thing is culture within our organizations, within the port system, within all the role players, to say, let's embrace this, let's collaborate and be innovative at the same time. So for us, we're seeing currently we have engaged in a lot of collaboration efforts. I'll make one with SARS, where we are trying to look back in terms of how better we can collaborate to share data and information. They cut a number of webinars where we hold to start to look at collaboration effort that we bring into the port system. And also for technology, in terms of technology, we're having hackathons sometimes with students from universities around. We also work with quite a number of research houses, like I just called the Moses Kotane Research Institute, of which they also assisting us in terms of collaboration that looking at how can we decongest the ports, bring a system that is going to ensure that the ports are not congested. So with all the trading partners, I think we are on the best route to see that we are embracing the collaboration efforts with engagements now and then. I think maybe also innovation hubs, maybe when we can start to have those, maybe partner with like how the IDZs within our port environment, within our cities, and also partner with our cities, because we cannot be trying to put all these efforts while we leave the key stakeholders like our cities and our industrial development zones. So I think in terms of bringing all that, it's a collective effort that we need to do. We need not to close like and do how we used to do, but let's open up in terms of engagements with the lot of stakeholders that we engage with on a daily basis. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Mrs. Pumla, for that. Thank you very much. And then Desmond, let me bring you in here as well. You know, how can we all create an environment of innovation and collaboration within our partners? How do we achieve it?
Okay. So Sam, let me first answer your second part of the question. How can we create an environment and collaboration within the port network? So on that basis, MPA adopt a ecosystem approach to fostering maritime innovation. This requires a deeper understanding of key players, okay, across the R&D value chain that contributes to this innovation. So our programs or enabling platforms are created where industry players, research institutes, and government agencies can come together to look at problem statements that all is interested to develop. So therefore, you create a mindset of creating value for all. Thus, in most of our innovation programs or R&D research, we will always have industry partners coming on board with us. For example, in terms of port innovation, we will always involve our port operators in PSA and Jurong Port in discussion, and the program is always developed in conjunction with their needs or in conjunction with the port needs. Similarly, on the Port Authority side, even as we begin to upgrade our capabilities in managing the Singapore port waters, we will always work with industry partners and research institute to develop the necessary software or technology algorithms to enhance our capability on that front. So we adopt a collaborative and ecosystem approach in fostering innovation on that part. This is in the sense of a local network within Singapore itself. On the international front, we work closely with international partners like the Port of Rotterdam and several other ports through our Port Authorities Roundtable, where we recognize problems that will need to be solved on an international level. For example, in the area of decarbonisation, we recognize this is a problem that will be faced by the shipping community in the upcoming 2030 IMO regulations. Thus, MPA, together with industry partners, has set up the Global Center of Maritime Decarbonisation to look at potential technology solutions or new business opportunities which the maritime industry can adopt to help them to reach the goals on that front. So that is a very important way where MPA looks into collaborating on innovation, whether is it locally or internationally. And to answer your first part of the question, in terms of how can ports and supply chain stakeholders be encouraged to share data. I think that will always be a sticky question. In a sense, data has in many occasions said to be the next goal on that front. Therefore, a lot of companies hold data close to their hearts on that front. And how does MPA look towards working at that? Instead of getting partners to share data, I think MPA took a very important first step that I shared earlier in creating the Singapore Maritime Data Hub, where we share MPA regulatory data as permitted to the public for the use of developing smart applications on that front. It could be a mobile app, it could be a software digital platform. That's how we support industry development. I think the second part on the international front, that is where we want to work with international organizations. Like, for example, the Digital Container Shipping Association. We work with them to look into developing and harmonizing standards on that. Therefore, when the creation of standards is available, this will allow the shipping community to share data, or the maritime supply chain community to share data based on the standards. Because the standards is developed, again, through a collaborative approach with like-minded partners, there is no conflict of interest when these standards are being developed. Therefore, everybody will feel safe to share this data. And on that front, we are also working closely with IMO to support member states in helping them to digitalize as well. Now, I remember earlier you mentioned about a question about a connected smart port. A port will never exist alone on its own. It is always a community of ports supporting each other so that the supply of goods and trade will flow. Therefore, in our efforts to support the member states under IMO to digitalize as well, we are developing a maritime single window which member states, port authorities could implement quickly so that they could help the shipping community move towards the first step of digitalization. So in terms of sharing data, we are all for establishing and harmonizing standards with like-minded partners and through international organizations like IMO or the Digital Container Shipping Association based in Netherlands. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Desmond. I see we have one question from Megan, Governor, but before I get to that question, please participants remember to send questions so that we can put to our panelists. And what you just indicated now, Desmond, I see there's one participant here by the name John Michael Moore, who's really a supporter of what you do as far as doing things together with other stakeholders and taking the approach of collaboration in everything that you do. And as I was saying earlier, I also believe that through collaboration with your key stakeholders, that's how you get to achieve greater heights in whatever that you do. And this concept, would then actually extend outside of just small parts, but in any other industries and areas. Now, going back to the question of Megan, I think this one would be more for Pamela as well. The question is, there tends to be congestion at Durban Port, in particular experienced by road freighters as rail is underutilized, as well as the broader road infrastructure in the city environment. Any ideas in this front regarding the whole concept of smart port and systems that could provide some solutions? Mrs. Pumla?
Yes, we're looking into that, the traffic flows to our ports, mainly especially piloting with Durban because it's a bit complex. We have quite a number of engagement with the city in terms of, I think the first thing before we can ensure that there is technology. There are other aspects that we needed to visit, like the routes, how the routes are designed for the traffic flow to the city. There are some changes that are going to be done in the near future in terms of to try to alleviate the traffic that flows to the ports. And then in terms of technology, we have tried with the first attempt with the smart port concept, we're trying to utilize some sensors to issue sensors to all the trucks, but we saw that that was a bit complex and it was going to be a bit expensive for us to maintain. So currently we are looking back into a solution that is going to assist us in terms of how can we then deal with the congestions at a technology point of view. I'm sure soon we should be going out to the market to look for solutions that are going to be, we are going to acquire then in terms of that are going to assist us in addressing the issues around congestion in the Port of Durban. Thank you.
Thank you. I see there's also a follow-up question from Megan again. And here the question is, in the context, in the South African context, is there a space to innovate on the current systems that make port and terminal management seamless? In other words, integrate respective terminals management within each port with the overall port management system that also can possibly create a productive benchmark in each terminal while understanding that cargo varies per vessel.
I might not have all the answers at the moment, but as I said, we are really open for new ideas or for new solutions in terms of how can we do that. Yes, there is an opportunity for us to make some changes around this. Like also, I'll look at in terms of the inflow. Like now, one of the key areas that we're looking at is to maybe take out the staging areas from I'll make an example with Durban. Take out the staging areas, move it up it further to some places in Cattle Ridge, and so maybe some of the container cargo, people shouldn't pick it up from the port. So those are just continuous discussions around how can we better restructure and improve our operations within the port environment. Maybe as a follow-up question or answers, I can maybe then engage with the proper executives, then try to bring a proper answer in terms of how better TNPA is looking at that issue.
Fantastic. No, thank you for that, Chispumla. Tom, let me bring you back here. Maybe after you, if we still have a bit of time as well. Desmond, I would like you to comment on the use of drones in Singapore when it comes to the role that would play with regards to a smart port. But before we get to that, let me bring Tom here. Tom, in terms of the connectivity, you touched on the use of drones, to achieving, the objectives as far as connectivity is concerned. Can you please perhaps expand a little bit more on that? What kind of opportunities or technological solutions related to the use of drones would be possible, when it comes to connectivity issues?
Okay, I can do that, Sam. I have a slide that I can share with you that I've created just as an introduction in that regard, but maybe just also to add to Pumla's question and the question from the audience is maybe a combined wearable and IoT solution within the port to automate things and make reporting and positioning of cargo and containers and all those type of things is a way to go. And I've worked with some of these suppliers in the past, and some of them are really eager to provide POCs in that regard. So if there's a requirement as such, then let's have a chat and see whether we can run through a few POCs. I think Desmond has probably also had some experience in this regard. But yeah, just something from a connectivity and a technology point of view that you could consider. Maybe you have, but if not, then I'm always willing to help. Can I share my screen with you quickly?
Hopefully, yeah, you'll be able to what means. I'm not sure if there's anything that you need to do on your side to allow Tom to share.
I've got one. Just see where it is. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yes, we can see your screen. Thank you, Tom.
So with regards to port control or a signaling system, there are obviously a whole lot of different inputs to the port management or port control guys. Desmond earlier referred to SATCOM, radar, normal human manual information and AISs and all those type of things. But with regards to our and focus to our discussion here, I've added a bit in terms of what drones can contribute to the ports management and control system. So from a situational awareness point of view, drones can provide assistance as far as collision avoidance is concerned, navigating and or assisting with regards to congestions and prioritizing certain vessels at certain times, giving them certain time slots. Obviously, you can use drones for a lot of inspections, reportings, also from vessels out of port on anchor and so on. I think there's some great usage for drones in environmental law compliances, where they scan the areas around a port, providing information as to the health and the environment. Obviously, security and search and rescue is a major contributor that drones are used for, and specifically in terms of disaster management, when there is, oh shoot, I don't know what happened there, when we have a disaster at hand. Not sure why that disappeared, but anyway. And similarly, we can talk about the assistance from, went to another page, the assistance that we can have from unmanned surface vessels. Also, I think water quality reporting, spillages and those type of things can easily be detected by USVs and the like. So just a few thoughts as to what I had in mind as a starter pack for drone applications within the Saldanha Bay IDZ. Does that answer your question?
Definitely. Thanks for that, Tom. Perhaps if you can just leave that slide on for the question that I want to ask Desmond, what I asked earlier. Desmond, in Singapore, when it comes to use of drones, especially airborne drones as well, looking at number of possible uses that we have on the screen here, which as Thomas shared with us, how are you currently using drones? And if you are using drones, how are you using them? And lastly, if you can touch on the legislative side, I mean, Sis Pumla, what she was saying earlier, that sometimes there could be challenges as far as being able to implement drone technologies, and challenges may be from a legislation point of view. So what is your experience when it comes to use of drones?
Okay. First, I must provide a context of the Singapore environment that might be different in other operational environment if we did, be it whether is it in Netherlands or whether in Saldanha Bay on that front. I think in Singapore context, our Singapore waters is very crowded every time of the day. I think statistically we we measured that at any single point of time, there are most probably about 1,000 vessels, big and small, within the Singapore port waters. Therefore, we are very careful when we implement drones into our sea space, use of drones into the sea space. The second context I want to provide, Singapore has a very busy airport. I mean, of course, due to the pandemic situations happen, we do have to do a shutdown and there's limited flights. But in the normal circumstances, Singapore has a very busy airport. And at any one point of time, we have planes that is taking off and landing. Therefore, we have two very different contexts to take care. First, the first context would be air traffic. How do we manage the risks in terms of drones in relation to air traffic? And of course, the second context would be how do we manage the risk of drones in relation to sea traffic on that front. So I place these two contexts here first at the point of time. On the regulatory side of things, we are leveraging on the use of drones through things like disaster management and search and rescue. On that part, disaster management, like I mentioned earlier, we are using drones as a first point of discovery, where when we receive maydays, we will most probably be able to deploy drones as a first responder to determine the exact location of the situation. And similarly, with when there are situations in oil spills, drones will often be used to extend the range of our patrol boats when we are seeking for oil spills within the Singapore port waters. So these are the two very strong aspects of use of drones, where we make use of them to extend the range of our port inspector officers at this point of time on that part. On the commercial side of things, we have seen, in my point, we have seen the uptake of commercial drones, usage of commercial drones in Singapore. I think I would like to cite a particular example by the Pier 71 Smart Port Challenge team on that front, where one of the startups is using drones to do confined space inspection. Now, for the shipping community, a confined space inspection is something which is quite dangerous, in the sense is you will have to bring in the class officers, the classification surveyors, and make the necessary inspection. And you most probably have to put the ship aside for a few days or even weeks to ensure the inspection goes through, to detect any issues with the ship on that front. Here we have a particular drone, a developer for performance rotors, that could perform confined space inspection within which will shorten the number of days taken from maybe from 7 to 2 days at a lower cost. And what is more important, such a service provided by them is accredited by Classification Society. Here you have a use of drones, a specific use of drones in the maritime industry that helps to reduce costs, and of course in this case reduce the use of reduce carbon, the burning of fuels, and reduce the time and congestion in port waters. That's one part. The other part on the use of drones that we see a lot is right now is the use of drones for shore to ship delivery and vice versa on that front. This is something that we see a lot of development that's happening right now through that. And because of the restricted use of drones due to the busy waters in Singapore, and therefore, I think on that front, MPA has set up the Maritime Drone Estate to support these drone developers in their trial. And when we talk about trials, this is a space where, as I mentioned earlier, where drone developers can safely test drones within a confined space, of course, with the necessary approval activity permits from the Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore, and from MPA, where both parties can understand how the trials will affect air traffic and sea traffic on that front. Generally, from my knowledge, we already have a drone developer, F Drones, which has started their commercial service of providing shore-to-ship delivery for customers in Singapore on that. I hope that answers your question, Sam.
No, so that's thank you for sharing, Desmond. Just to give heads up, at about 10 past 11, we're going to take a body break in preparation for our third and then last session. Before we get to that point, let me ask one closing question to each member of our panelists. I see we do not have additional questions. I'm not sure if there might be anyone who has raised their hand and has any question. If not, I will start with Sis Pumla. Or I see there's a hand. Who is that? Is it Tom?
Yes, thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to add to what Desmond was saying. I think in the initial stages when we started talking about what and how can we develop Saldanha by IDZ, one of my ideas was really a test environment to test different types of drones or USVs and so on. Any connected vehicle in an environment that is close to where it should and can be used. So I still would like to promote that idea within IDZ that we create a test environment for drones or connected vehicles in that area. I think it's an ideal location. Apart from that, I think we also need to just take cognizance of the fact that nowadays, because drones are fairly easy to operate, to come by, there is also the danger of rogue drones or drones that are flying to and forth from ships. Syndicates do wonderful and illegal things, and often drone protection and or warning systems forms part of any critical infrastructure like an harbor or a port. So the drone traffic management system needs to be enhanced by a drone protection and management system to know when is a drone commercial, when it is allowed to do what it wants to do, and or whether there are illegal activities taking place. It's happening all over, and it's just something I think we need to take cognizance of. Thanks.
No, that's so much thanks for sharing that, Tom. I know the challenge with rogue drones or drones where people fly drones where they are not supposed to be, where they are not authorized, and I think that is actually a problem, all over. And I would also imagine that that is not only unique, to South Africa. So. Yeah. Sis Pumla, if I can bring you in here with closing remarks as well. One of the things that we touched on earlier during our conversation was the value, the social value that smart ports create for communities. With your closing remarks, can you please maybe share with us your understanding and your experiences with regards to the value smart ports would create for communities, and with that, if you could also maybe say one or two things words as your closing remarks as well. Sis Pumla, are you still here? Oh yeah, there we go. Sis Pumla, are you here? Can you hear me? I see you unmuted yourself, unless if maybe it was not you. Probably then let's move to Desmond. Closing remarks. Any Any additional information that you may want to share with us with regards to smart ports as well?
Yeah, as I shared, I think the most important in developing smart port is to like we always mention, how do we create the social impact for the use of for our ports and for the community on that front, and how technology plays a role. And furthermore, in developing a smart port, how do we foster collaboration? And it can only be achieved through a ecosystem approach, which technically I believe, and which MPA is actually working out in building partnerships with different partners in different regions to understand the problems that we face. Therefore, creating good solutions that will enhance the industry on an overall basis. Sam?
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Desmond. Sis Pumla? Looks like we lost Sis Pumla. I'm not sure. I will probably come back to Sis Pumla. Tom, any last words from your side? Last comments? Anything to share with participants?
Not really anything more than what Desmond said. I think I need to reiterate, at the end of the day, any port is a business. And you need clients that want to use your business, and you've got to give them the infrastructure to be able to use that business. And we need to create an edge for Saldanha Bay for partners that want to use the infrastructure here, and obviously generate revenue. Yeah, that's all I need to say. Thanks, Sam.
In that front, one other point that you touched on, Tom, and I would like you maybe to add one or two words, if maybe they might have additional, the importance of collaboration. I keep going back to this. The reason being, even with what Desmond was sharing, and this is what I also see generally, in other industries, especially with where the innovation becomes key. The collaboration and the ability to work together between private and government. The importance of that. Can you please touch on that again? Maybe if there's any other additional views that you may have as far as that is concerned, the importance of collaboration between private and government.
I think it's always a tough issue. It's always an issue of what can I do and what can you do for me, and something that we can never under stress or stress enough. It needs to be a collaborative effort. And I think for us, the most important thing is to realize who's got expertise in what areas, and who can focus on the right areas to make that collaboration work. I think there's a slice in the cake for everybody. We need to just find that medium where it enhances the focus for what we're all trying to achieve for that goal in terms of making the IDC work, or Saldanha Bay IDC work. I think we can spend lots of beers and wine in Cape Town to discuss what should we be doing, and we can all create our own little cocoon or own little kingdom. But I think the opportunity is there. We must just find it. We got to keep dialoguing and keep talking to each other in terms of finding that equilibrium for everybody to benefit from this. I can't think of anything specifically now than just saying, listen, guys, focus on your area of expertise, and let's have the managers and the stakeholders within the IDC to bring it together and say, all right, fine, this is the way, this is the critical paths, and this is where we engage with such and such or so and so in reaching that goal.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tom. Let me take this opportunity, maybe before I close, is Pumla back? I still don't. Pumla, are you back? Any last closing remarks on your side?
Thank you, Sam. Yes, I'm back. I'm sorry for the glitch. It was a bit, I lost the connection. In my closing remarks, thank you for my fellow panelists. Let's embrace the collaboration effort and sharing of information. As a port authority, we're really open to, because there is no other competitor for us in South Africa, so we're relying more on our international colleagues or partners to have to acquire more information and knowledge. So let collaboration happen so that it can also assist us to ensure that we build internal capacity for South Africa. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sis Pumla. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Desmond, for gracing us with your presence and sharing, your sharing your knowledge with us in this space. We are now going to take a break, and we will reconvene again at 11:15 for the DroneTech Innovation Challenge Award ceremony. And in that session, we're going to meet our 6 winners, and then we'll tell you more about the fascinating work that they are doing in this space. With that, let me thank everyone. Thank ladies in Palisha and Nokwanda in the background for running this session and making things very smoothly. And yeah, we're going to take a break now, and we'll reconvene again at 11:15 for session 3. Thank you very much.
Cool. I will take that as a sign and we can start. Brilliant. Okay, so the next session really is to do our prize ceremony for the tech startups, and let me do the opening. But before I do that, I just want to acknowledge everyone around the room and making it work this morning with load shedding. I know the team here in Saldanha and Cape Town and Joburg as well. We have been switching between battery packs and routers and doing what it takes to make it work. So I just want to say we see you this morning and we appreciate you also for making it work. Okay, so to get us going in this session is that our DroneTech Innovation Challenge was really our first innovation challenge that we launched as the Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus. And it truly has been amazing how many good ideas are out there, and then also how many solutions to follow. And during this innovation challenge, we want to discover all the applications of drone technologies across industries with the aim for finding solutions that would align with the energy and marine sectors. Now, our main drive as the Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus is to instill a culture of innovation and to really nurture technology-led innovations in the energy and marine sectors, starting off here in Saldanha and in South Africa. Now, I would like to give a big shout out to all of the challenge applicants that we received, and for the energy, belief, ideas, and enthusiasm that they brought into this competition over the past few months. We were really overwhelmed by the quality of entries that we received and walking the journey with these participants. So thank you so much for your contribution, and please continue to put in the hard work on your ideas and solutions, even if perhaps you didn't make our final round of the 6 finalists. Now, the Saldanha Bay Industrial Development Zone is also dedicated to cultivating a culture of innovation and to nurture technology, led by all of these innovations in energy and maritime sectors. We want to create an environment where entrepreneurs can thrive, because we also understand the contribution needed to drive the sector forward. Today, we will introduce you to our 4 winners from 2 categories. Firstly, we'll introduce the winners from the first competition, which is businesses in their scale-up phase. And then we will also introduce the winners for the businesses in that ideation phase. Now, for everyone around the room, I just quickly want to give you an idea of the prizes that we are awarding. And it includes the following. It's our winners will get access to the Tech Tribe Acceleration Program. We will be doing brand and marketing exposure via the Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus, the Saldanha Bay IDZ, REIS, and the South African Innovation Summit. There will be opportunity to participate in our podcasts, and then also facilitated introductions via all of our networks. And that is one of our big recognitions, is the power of networking. And then last but not least is also coaching and mentoring from drone experts in the drone space. Now, on this high note, I'm going to hand over to Sam to introduce us to the winners. Sam, handing the mic over to you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you for kind words, and I must say, I must really congratulate and say to the team that has been organizing this, the Saldanha Bay Industrial Zone, including their partners. You have done a fantastic work for a couple of weeks, if I remember well. I think the process started somewhere earlier in the year, and with activities from August to date. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I will now hand over to our startups and invite them to join us for a few words. And unfortunately, okay, let me start here. We have two categories, as Adinda has indicated. That would be businesses in their scale-up phase, and then there will be the second category would be businesses in their ideation phase. So according to the program that we shared with our winners, we were supposed to start with the winner in the scale-up phase. Unfortunately, they are not able to make it, at this time allocated slot. So we will then, I would like to introduce the Luminous marketing and branding. They are in the second place in their business that are in their ideation phase. Who do we have from Luminous?
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me. It's Nogukanya from Luminous.
Fantastic, thank you, Nogukanya. You can go ahead.
Okay, firstly, we'd like to take this opportunity to just thank everyone from the team that was working on this innovation challenge, to everyone that was involved. We are super duper grateful for this opportunity. We're super grateful to be chosen as winners. My partner couldn't make it today for these award ceremonies, so she also said I should send her regards and thanks. So basically what Luminous Marketing and Branding is traditionally is a full service digital marketing company. We provide marketing services ranging from your website development to consultation. We also just help other brands that are smaller and have no idea how to go about marketing their company on the digital space, in the traditional space. We basically just assess your needs and see how can we assist you in terms of putting your company out there. Earlier on this year, we thought that, as a company, it's about time that we try to be more innovative. That's when we took the opportunity to involve drones into our company. We involved drones in terms of aerial photography at first. So we focused and said we want to target certain industries, which was mainly the property industry and also the agricultural industry, because we saw that there's a gap in the market to actually just assist property owners and assist people who are farmers, agricultural owners with aerial photography, which could help them detect a lot of things and also just help with the marketing of their company. We also then said, okay, we can also assist with energy performance certificates, as it is an incoming law that each building must acquire these. So we are going to also be using drones to help with energy performance certificates in terms of measuring spaces and also making the process easier for property owners, making the process easier for agencies, and just basically for people that are dealing with these projects and just want to take the weight off them. So essentially, we want to provide a one-stop shop for property owners, for small businesses, to say, hey, we're here with these solutions, and we hope that we'll be able to be of great assistance to your company. Thank you very much. This is Nokanya from Luminous Marketing and Branding.
Oh, thank you very much, Nokanya. It sounds like you really into a great start in your business, and we really wish you luck. One thing that I must just clarify is Nokanya is from Luminous Marketing and Branding. They are in the second place in the business that are in the ideation phase, just to clarify exactly where they are. Thank you very much, Nokanya.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will now move to business in the scale up. If you remember, I said the winner is going to introduce them a little bit later. So at this stage, I'm going to introduce the entity which is in the second place in their scale up phase, which is Autonosky. Who do we have from Autonosky?
It's Amit. Thanks.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Amit. Go ahead.
Yeah, firstly, I also want to say thank you very much to the Saldanha Bay Industrial Development Zone and the Innovation Campus and everybody who put the competition together. It was run in a very professional manner, and yes, it was a great experience. And we are really excited to be in second place. The exposure has been fantastic, and we have aspirations to be part of the SBIDZ with some of our solutions in the future, in the near future. So let me tell you a little bit about AutonoSky. AutonoSky was founded to create a drone technology and provide operational capability for fire rescue and security organizations with the impact of saving lives. Our products include a fire retardant ball dropper, which we have named Firefly. Our goal here is to quickly reach fires in hard to reach places and start combating the fire within its containment window. The payload can also be used to deliver supplies to stranded survivors. And I think it's also worth mentioning that Firefly was designed and 3D printed in-house. We're very, very passionate about doing our own fabrication and innovation. And it's also one of the exciting projects we got to work on. Our second product is called ESP, which stands for Extrasensory Perception. And this is our video streaming platform that is enhanced with computer vision. And the goal here is to provide better situational awareness to the teams on the ground. The data is also transmittable to the control centers for more effective planning and deployment of ground staff. And we are also in the process of building our own heavy lifting drone, which we plan to equip with our own payloads and a modified flight controller. From the operational point of view, we are in the final stages of obtaining our RPAS operator certificate from the Civil Aviation Authority. We're hoping to have this done in the next month or so. This will allow us to provide drone operational capability to our clients who don't yet have their ROC or their license issued by CAA. And that's AutonoSky in a nutshell. Thanks once again. It's been super interesting. I was lucky enough to join the session from the start today. And the speakers and panelists have been fantastic. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Amit. I must say, having been or had the opportunity to visit your facilities as well, I think you are doing incredible work with your capable team and really pushing boundaries in, not just falling, trying to get into drone industry and doing what everyone else is doing, but pushing boundaries and bringing in technology that is innovative and things which haven't been done before. So I really think you're doing quite well as a business in this regard, and I wish you well.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right, moving right along. In the third place, we have in the business of ideation scale-up, we have RBI DroneTech. Who do we have from RBI DroneTech?
Good day, Sam. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of this competition. It was actually presented, and I think we learned a significant amount of information over this period of time. Just a little bit about our company. We are a third-party inspection authority in South Africa. We call it AIA, and we certified as a 14,000 and 45,000 company. We specialize currently in various disciplines in South Africa, and I think with that specifically, we can be of great assistance to the port with the smart port environment as an inspection authority. We are currently inspection body for steel structures, the only one in South Africa. We are accredited by SANAS for that specifically, for in-service and new fabrication of structures, and that is where we actually use a lot of our drone technology. We've done a lot of R&D in this specific field. We also a pressure equipment inspection authority for new fabrication and in-service. We also for electrical, for single phase, 3-phase, and hazardous installations. And then we also in one for facilities. So we are really doing significant work on that side and trying to from our side, lead the industry. We're not followers of the industry. We definitely lead the industry. Just on the drone side, we've done significant amount of evaluations over the past 2 years in our R&D phase. We realized some reports in the region of 2,500 of those reports have been realized as well, which give us a good background of the past 4 years that we've done R&D in this specific field. In the facilities industry, it's a new industry for us as well. We work a lot there on the storage facility side, on tanks, storage tanks, typical your API environment, the American petroleum industry, and that is on the 5-year and 10-year internal in-service and out-of-service inspections. We are in a one-stop regulatory institution, and also a quality assurance institution at this stage. We are accredited by SANAS and then appointed by the Department of Labor, and we also then appointed by the Department of Mines and Minerals at this stage. So we carry that specifically. So in our ROC scenario, currently we are about 90% there. We started this about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. It's a long process. We're nearly there. We have obtained the services of an external party in the interim to realize our R&D phase that we're in currently at this stage, and we've made some huge milestones on that side. And then, just as a conclusion, we are definitely drone driven currently at this stage, and the drone inspection results that we actually receive by being an inspection authority, we make that credible information as well to the industry. So it's not just an additional report they get, but it's a report certified by a specific industry in a specific discipline that is accredited by SANAS and also supported by the Department of Labor. And I think that's about it for my 5 minutes currently at this stage. Thank you very much for everybody's interest in our company and the drive that we have. And I just want to give a big thanks to Armand van der Merwe. He's the director of this business division of RBI, and he's making head strides on that. And then to Chris van Niekerk, who's local in Saldanha currently at this stage. He's been there for nearly 10 years currently at this stage, and we've been in operation in Saldanha for the past, since 1998. Majority at the metal steel industry over there. Thank you very much, Sam. Really appreciate the time.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. But I must say, one thing that you indicated, and I like the direction that you took here is, it's one thing being able to produce reports and results using drones, but if also at the core of what you do, you have accreditation bodies working with you, that's incredible, because that's one of the areas that I must say previously has been sort of lacking, or a lot of people were questioning the work that is done using drones simply because of certification. So I'm really glad that that's the kind of area, the angle that you went and you covered that quite well. I think that is fantastic and well done in that.
Yeah, and Sam, I think just to close it off with as well, the kind of parties that or the quality of the other parties on this competition were excellent. And as a company, well, one of our main focuses is continuous improvement, collaboration with different institutions and so on, to actually always have the best technology out there and to add value to our clients. I think that is very important for us. It's that continuous improvement and the value proposition, not only from us to our client, but also from our clients to their clients. I think that is critical to share their vision.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, and good luck with your future endeavors as well.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. All right. We'll then move to the fourth place. So lastly, in our fourth place in the business of their scale-up phase, we have WIPO Wireless Power. Who do we have from WIPO?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Priyan. I'm the owner and founder of WIPO Wireless Power. We do wireless power solutions for mostly mobility devices, including that of drones. And just like everyone else, I would like to take the opportunity just to thank the sponsors and the organizers of the competition, as well as the participants. Very good that everyone worked together and trying to solve some real critical problems that is happening within the industry itself. Right. Let me just get this started. Thank you so much. So, Wiper Wireless Power was created with the intent of mind to solve the first mile and last mile problem. The first mile in terms of where it comes from warehouses, packing and logistics, and as well as the last mile in terms of delivery and logistics. And what we do is we provide a wireless charging solution to move and charge drones wirelessly, so it allows you to operate those drones without any human interaction. Whether you require drones for the use of in smart ports, or you require it in the use of oil platforms, if it's drones for the use of medical devices delivery or medical blood delivery or tests, anything like that, or if you use drones in terms of fighting fires, all of these scenarios require you to use and operate drones as you would require that. So when you have a routine and repeatable missions in terms of surveying at mines, or if you need remote operation of these drones, or in case if it's required for the drone to be used in emergency response, our wireless power solution allows you to do that. So what we do is we charge the drones using wireless power, and it solves a number of pain points for our customers. One, manual charging needed to be done, battery abuse in terms of battery swelling and overheating, incorrect charging, and then physically handing off the drone itself, as well as the charging solutions. So what we have done is we have developed a drone nest called YPod Phoenix, and it allows you, essentially it's a garage for drones, and it allows you to launch a drone for repeatable missions or emergency response quickly and effectively while operating the drone from a remote operating room. Right. So as with the use with the drone, it's not just a drone garage that we implemented with wireless charging, but what we've done is we've created a larger platform, and it allows you to operate the drones remotely. It allows you to monitor the drone as well as the drone port and the charging remotely, and is feeding all of the information from the drone itself, including the drone ports and any third-party devices, back to the operating room for decisions or operation by the operators itself. So what we've done in this case, we use the wireless charging for the drone nest. It can also be used for underwater drones, or called ROVs, and it is connected to an IoT gateway, connected to the cloud, and then we have that information in addition to the operation of the drones that can be done remotely. So as a platform for drones, it allows you to extend the drone functionality. So it allows you to add third-party devices like a GPS RTK, wildfire detectors, weather stations, drone detections, or precision landing systems to the drone port itself, allowing you to have much greater flexibility and far greater value from the infrastructure of the drone nest itself. Some traction. We started off a few years back using a 20 volt charger and a 200 watt charger, and that was essentially for small applications, and increased the power to that so much so that we can charge 12 cell lithium polymer batteries running at anything from 200 to 500 watts, allowing for rapid charging. And from there, we signed a number of partnerships with a number of European companies, including some more prominent of those partners and clients. So just a few examples of the clients and the partners that we have. Most of them is in Europe, but we have locally that we're working with Deloitte. Right. My name is Jaco Priya, and I'd like to invite you to talk to us if you're looking for remote operations of drones, as well as the ability to operate and launch the drones for emergencies, as well as to maintain more than one drone by a single operator. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Yaku. I must say, when I look at the work that you do, this is definitely future use and future applications of drones. And, if we had time, we'd spend a little bit more time chatting about, it would be very interesting to know what kind of conversations you're having with our civil aviation regulator, because definitely this kind of, this application definitely challenges our current state of regulations. Nonetheless, thank you very much, and wish you luck with your technology and innovation at this stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. That was the fourth place. We now going to, in the first place, we're going to introduce the winners in both categories, and then in the first place, the category of business in the ideation phase, we have Taurus Energy. Who do we have from Taurus Energy?
Hi, sorry, I'm not sure why my video can't show, but it's Gareth Grosh here.
No, that's fine. I think you can go ahead, Gareth. That should work as well.
Thank you. Actually, can you see me now?
There we go. There we go. I can see you. Thank you.
Let me share my screen. So, good afternoon, everybody. Gareth Grosh here of Taurus Energy Services. We are an environmental and energy consulting firm, and we're always looking to innovate and integrate, or innovate to integrate, in fact. And so on the energy side, I would say we retail and distribute LPG, and we always pushing that agenda for the obvious benefits, as you can see in the presentation. We also have the opportunity to be the sole distributor of a certain type of product that uses LPG, whether it's generators or even lawnmowers and pumps. So on that front, that's on the energy aspect. And on the environmental side, we are mainly focused at the moment on waste management and air quality, but we are have been designated environmental management inspectors. So we are the police of the environmental sphere. And so we do audits, we work with EPWP work to clean up areas, we facilitate meetings for landfill sites. And so this is where our drone idea came in, to integrate a service where we can use the drone technologies to do environmental auditing, but go beyond just the norm by, for example, calculating landfill airspace or using drone technology, which I've had the privilege of using before, even though this is the ideation phase, doing air quality testing. And of course, you can see the benefits of that. I think Mr. Tom Roos, he mentioned in his previous slide, it was the connectivity map. There was environmental law compliance as one of the drone usages. So I think we fit into that niche quite well, even with the water quality testing and whatnot. So we're looking to integrate an approach to save costs, time, and obviously even to make it safer to do inspections. This is our team at the moment. It's myself and my wife, who's also my business partner, Gareth Grosh and Bongiswa Grosh. And yeah, we hope that you can just give us a call, chat with us, see, and just to also thank everybody. Thank you for choosing us as number one. I know it must have been a difficult decision in the ideation phase, at least, because there were some great ideas out there. Congratulations to everybody, and thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Very interesting and real use in your organization. And one thing that I must say that I like about what you bring to the table here would be you really integrating drones in the business that you're already in today. That makes things a lot easier. Because you're already expecting what you do, like in this instance, the environmental application. So you already have a set of skills, and drone is just a tool that you bring in to assist you to do what you do better and most probably even efficient. So congratulations again to what you do, and I wish you luck. And I think definitely there's a future use and application and opportunities for what you do.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you. And lastly, I would like to welcome DeltaScan, who is in the first place in their business, in the ideation scale-up. Who do we have from DeltaScan?
Hi, Sam. Sorry, my video is also blocked at the moment.
Okay, I think that should be fine. I think you can go ahead. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Perfect.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us today. All right, so I haven't prepared a 5-slide summary. What I'll take you through is a quick overview of what we do, what we're about. I'm a professional structural engineer. I've been working for many years in the industry, in the engineering market, on site and off site in design. And we turned to drone tech 8 years ago already when the drones first came out. And for us, it was a means of getting to elevated spaces very quickly, very easily. That then started evolving when the world of 3D came out. And 3D in the drone space was predominantly targeted at surveys. Your Pix4Ds came out and many other applications. And we started using that tech, but it wasn't solving our problems when it came to managing infrastructure, managing assets, looking at the condition of structures and the stability of structures, etc. So we recognize that 3D and digitization exists in the world predominantly in the movie industry, in the gaming industry. So we went to Silicon Valley and we started developing and reutilizing tools that were used in those markets and to bring them into the engineering space. How do we capture more information? How do we capture better information? We engaged with many of what we call the off-the-shelf platforms that a lot of drone companies use. And we said, you promise all this detail and this great stuff, but it doesn't work for us. What's going on? And they said, look, the business model of a drone application, of a drone processing platform is mass market adoption. And in order to do that, you have to water down what the service provides. So we decided to create our own and to really develop our own approach to looking at infrastructure management, at audits. We are accredited by SASI, by EXA. We do a lot of professional talks, CPD lectures, and we talk about how digital tech is changing the face of managing infrastructure, of managing sites. We work a lot in refineries. We work in the oil and gas space, in the harbor space. Essentially, we focus on 4 target markets. Number one is we develop tools for engineers, for other engineering companies to make better informed decisions. We develop tools for asset owners to provide them with turnkey asset maintenance, not just one-off inspections, but long-term asset maintenance of their sites, of their infrastructure. We also work with the drone companies, with ROCs in the South African space and the international space. I didn't mention that we are not a drone company. We're a drone analytics company. We're a data analytics company. The reason we did that is because we didn't want to be limited geographically, number one, and we wanted to be able to tap into legal drone sources around the world to provide us with collection tools. Using those tools, using those data, we then able to generate engineering value, engineering reporting, which is our main focus. We focus really on the 3 areas in that space, which is digitization, number one. How do you take something that is a real life asset and turn it into a CAD format, into an engineering language? And then what offshoots from that is inspections, which we are one of the market leaders in the world, and specialist survey tools as well. Just to give you a very quick live example of what do we mean by digitization, this is a typical commercial center. This is Bedford Center in Johannesburg. And when we talk about 3D drone mapping, we're not looking at mapping from above, but we're looking at mapping from the side to capture all the detail, all the information that is there. When I just dive very, very quickly into inspections as well, I'm really flying. I'm not going through my whole presentations, but we talk about the digital twin workflow. How do we take existing assets and extract as much detail as possible? You can see here, there's a lot of tanks and boilers and silos from different mines in Africa. These are bridges we've done up in Norway. We also focus very heavily on confined space audits, the inside of silos, of bunkers, of pipelines and culverts, which is a space we operate in more often than not. I'm not going to go into the whole analysis of the market. Really, what we're about is disrupting the way that we inspect and manage. The last thing I want to maybe quickly touch on is the cloud interface that we've developed. The space that, sorry, let me just go back here. The space that we communicate this information. In the data space, in the drone space, whenever you're generating models or content, it's very difficult to send large files to clients that don't have the infrastructure or the hardware. So what we've been building for many years now is an asset management tool that exists on the cloud. And this exists for surveys, it exists for really detailed asset management, long-term management as well. I'll just share quickly a very basic use case how it works. So we can put in survey tools, we can overlay really high levels of detail. We've built all of these solutions to be in South Africa, running on AWS, which means both from a speed point of view as well as from a security compliance point of view, we're able to capture really, really high information and keep it secure within the borders, which is really critical for big industries, for secure industries. We can also look and visualize at the point cloud data sets. We can really see what is happening on site. We can have a reference of where it sits. We can take that background off, and we can do many, many different forms of analysis on these type of projects. If we're looking at differential elevation profiling, so if we want to do pipelines, we can now look at the profiles of the land, at the fall of the lands. We can plot those elevations and manage the way that the site is actually changing and how it changes over time. We can do a lot of more advanced analytics as well. I'm not going to go into all of it. And yeah, that's pretty much what we do. That's our focus. I'll just give you a quick overview of some of the, I suppose, insurance applications. Yeah, so this is a project that I think was quite publicized in the media. That's why I can show it. And it's managing the condition of assets that have been affected by fires, by collapses, by looting. This was the recent issues that we had in the Durban market not too long ago. We were called in to do all the emergency insurance audits of the buildings that were affected. And using this type of tools, these type of analyses, it changes the game, the way that insurers deal with information, that engineers engage with information, the way that you can communicate it, the efficiencies that you can communicate it. And we've added multiple layers of different ways of analyzing buildings, of analyzing the condition of the materials, and reporting as well. But I'm not going to show everything. We'll leave that for another time. And yeah, thank you again for the time. I hope I didn't speak too long. And yeah, we're welcome to contact us. We work with many, many different markets, different industries, and we focus on changing the way that engineering is going digital. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Daryl. I know you had 5 minutes, but I must say you really squeezed in enough information for us to know what you do as a business. But no, nonetheless, I must say I'm really impressed with the kind of work that you do and your achievements, knowing where you've started and knowing as a business the direction that you decided to take, you know, when you started with Delta Scan. And I must say it's really paying off, because the kind of work that you do and the results that you deliver are fantastic. And you know, if you compare with, I'm pretty much sure your work compares quite well or punches above its weight when you compare with even other international, you know, companies which are in a similar space as you. No, I really think you really deserve it to be number one, to be winning this award, because you definitely doing great, fantastic work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And congratulations to all the other participants and winners as well. Fantastic solutions and technology that's coming out.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
Cool.
All right. Sadly and unfortunately, we have come to the end of this session, and would like to thank everyone for their participation, and congratulations to all the winners. And I must say this has been a fantastic journey, and you know, for everyone who has been involved in these sessions. And a very, very big thank you to the organizers. Thank you to the administrators as well, and your partners. To all speakers, thank you very much, and thank you again for giving us your time and giving up your time to be with us. And with that being said, I would like to hand over to Adinda to give you know, the words of thanks. And from my side, thank you everyone. Thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day. And up to you, Adinda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam, and even a bigger thank you to you as host today. Just absolutely superb. So I have a few just closing remarks, and I'm going to try to keep it to 5 minutes. So let's give it a go. I want to share just a quick reflection on our drone showcase. And when we started, we received 3 pieces of advice, and I would like to pay it forward to everyone here today and to your networks. So the first piece of advice that we received from our think tank was dream big, start small, but whatever you're doing, just get started. And our drone technology showcase has really exceeded our wildest expectations. From having our first webinar in May, over 4 months, we delivered 10 events, all different sorts and sizes. And we actually reached more than 500 live participants. Now that's excluding all of the recordings and the YouTube views. And we're looking forward that this content will carry into the future and reach more audiences. The second bit of advice that we received was spend time and effort with those that are most enthusiastic and passionate, and the rest will follow. And wow, what did we find? The drone tech industry is buzzing with people with energy and enthusiasm and leading innovation. And the rest did indeed follow. We had 10 startups participating in our tech startup competition. And we also had the privilege to give the opportunity to 20 teachers from the West Coast region to build their own drones. And we're so excited to share some of that. Now, the third pearl of wisdom that we received was, if you don't ask, you won't know. And so we did ask, and we dreamt big. And by saying this, we leveraged our networks. And again, blown away by the amount of yeses that we received. Overall, we had more than 19 speakers, panelists, and hosts from all around the world. And we are humbled and grateful for all of the in-kind support that you've offered. So without further ado, just a quick round of thank yous. And Sam already touched upon a few. So let me quickly run through it. So firstly, a big thank you to our speakers and panelists, not only today, but over the course of the past 5 months. You've brought valuable insights, in-kind support, and we're looking at the future for further collaborations. Then to our service providers who delivered our Build Code Fly training, to the teachers and Phoenix Drone Academy, brilliant team. A big thank you to our partnerships. This is the Innovation Summit, the University, Nelson Mandela University, the Cape Peninsula Technikon, as well as the Western Cape Department of Education and the Western Cape Government. Another big wow for your support, enough said. Then a big thank you to our marketing team. They had to keep up with our requests, posts, tweaks, and then also crafting some really cool articles. Do check our LinkedIn for more of that. And then last but not least, a big thank you to all of our participants. Thank you for showing up, for speaking up, and sharing your ideas. In the next few months, we are looking forward to deliver more showcases, to dream even bigger, and to truly drive innovation in the marine and energy sectors and in the drone tech sector in South Africa. Now, watch this space in the next month for the launch of our own website, all of our social media pages as the Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus, and then also the announcement of our next showcase, which will be centered on the energy transition and decarbonisation technologies. Now, to close up, in the ethos of the Innovation Campus, a reminder that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So a big thank you to everyone. Sam, I'm not quite sure if I hand back to you or if at this point we wave goodbye until we see all of each other again. I think, Sam, let me tag you.
Yes, this is a part where we say thank you to everyone and we close it here.